Hello and welcome, crafty friends. Today I am going to be sharing with you on how I mass produce some cards using this adorable new collection by Pebbles called Loves Me. This paper pad is packed with a lot of really cute papers, and I'm just doing a little flip through. This paper pad is the 12 by 12, so it has a lot of really good papers and everything, as you can see. I really love this sloth one, and as you can see, I already cut some of the things out because I started prepping, um, you know die cutting and doing stuff to get ready for this. Now another thing, it has two sheets of each kind of paper, and it has these ones that you can use for like little Valentine's cards or things like that. Another one I really love is this little llama, and I cut one of them, a set of them out to make this card that I showed on my Instagram a while back. So as you see here, I used tried to use some of the paper pads, of the papers each one, and cut different things to do to kind of have it ready for me to do my things. This other sheet, you could use it if you're gonna be doing some Valentines, which I plan to use it for some Valentines that my kids will be bringing to school. Another really cool page is this one that is full of little tags that you can use, and you can use them to make cards or for actual tags if you're gifting anybody anything for Valentine's. But anyway, here is a lot of die cutting that I did, and it does help when you're mass producing something if you kind of get a head start. So I didn't want this video to be way too long, so I did all the die cutting ahead of time, and I have here just some samples of the things that I die cut. I also did a lot of coloring and prepping a lot of things, which I am going to be using. I just adore those little cards, those little trucks, and then all of these food breakfast theme items that I am actually not using those for this particular project because I am trying to keep it to use only the Pebbles paper pad collection. So as you can see here, I also die cut a lot of different words and some little elements here, like those little kisses, those little glasses, some roses and stuff. But again, I am not using all of those because I want to keep these to be just my the paper pad, making cards using the paper pad itself. So here is all the little like little cards that I cut out. So you have the bigger ones that are about, like, I think it's 4 by 3, and the other ones are 3 by 3. So you can use them as they are. You can make them into little tags. So here's one of them that I cut, the little sloth, and I like this little word that says, "I like you, a sloth." It's so cute. But anyway, let's get started on putting some cards together. And for my first one, I used this this adorable image that I cut out, and then a panel that I cut out with the XOXO, with this it looks kind of like a stamp or like an old greeting card die cut. And then I'm just popping the sloth and the heart onto foam tape, and then just gluing the sentiment directly onto the little paper pad. And then I'm just trying to decide how I am going to be placing it onto my card. I am using this heavyweight cardstock for it, which usually that's what I use for my cards, so that way I can, they look a lot nicer. So here I'm just trying to play with some of the sentiments. I want to add a pop of color to it because, it's just all red and white. And I decided to use this strip of black paper and then just kind of off center it. Now, two things that I don't do a lot is doing this, like trying to combine a lot of paper pads and then putting things to the side or not lining them up. But I thought that these look really fun, but putting them to the side and edge just kind of gave it that extra look. So yeah, it is a little hard for me not to center things, but I'm trying to shift away from that. And I think that card turned out good. Now, the way I'm doing this to mass produce them is, making all the similar things at once. So like here, I'm putting everything onto a card base, coming up with the main card design, and then I'll be doing the little sentiments or whatnot. Here, I was trying to make like a little embellishment to put on a card using some of this gold string that you just kind of loop it around your fingers a few times, and then using some of these glitter foam hearts that I made, and then just trying to play with the alignment, how it is gonna look. I have bigger and smaller little hearts, and then just trying to see what would work. Now I also decided to just like punch out this little paper from this is another sheet that you have a lot of words, and I thought it would help give the pop of that little heart. So for this, I am going to be using my glue gun to kind of glue the the string in there and the foam heart. Now this foam heart has glitter on both sides, so I wanted to use some strong glue for that, so that I just went with the hot glue, which was easier to do it. Now on top of that, I'm just going to be putting the word love, and I am going to be mounting it, or putting it onto this other circle that I cut out of the little hearts pattern paper, which I think is really cute, by the way. So I'm just putting that together, and there you have it, just a very cute embellishment that you can use for a card. Now I was just trying to think of how I would put it onto a card, and because I will need something to put behind it, and I just started to kind of leave the little embellishment to the side and tried to come up with other ones. But you see I kind of pull out my little truck, but I'm like, I'm not gonna use the little truck for that right now. So I'm trying to select some of these little cards for papers. And I also found this other one because I was trying to make like little embellishments or things that I could have for cards. And these two little birds is so adorable. So I just cut them out, fussy cut them with my scissors. And here I'm trying to do the same thing, kind of like that half oval, half circle, or it's missing a little bit of it. It has some stitching on the side, but it's not a full circle. So I was just trying to use it as an embellishment as well and see what would work. And I thought about maybe doing some of the same thing like I did with the other, with the gold thread, but using this black and white twine and doing different things to kind of put it around. And I'm just like, you can see me fussing with it, but at the end I ended up not looking how it would look, so I decided to just put it to the side. So anyway, I am going to be using some foam tape to pop these little birdies up, so that way they can stand out a little bit more against that pattern paper. It is a little busy, but I thought that they looked really cute because they're kind of kissing each other, and it has just XOXO in the background. Now, another thing I really like to do, which sometimes you could think that it's a little bit tedious, it's when I have images like these that have little pieces, little legs or things like that, I still like to put the foam tape there, so that way everything is popped up evenly and things don't bend or anything. Just a little extra step that you take, and sometimes it is very tedious, but I like doing it so that way everything looks nice. But anyway, after I'm done with that, it is very easy to just peel off the backing of each little piece, and then just have it ready to pop it onto the little back panel that I was going to put it on. So then you call that one done. I didn't have anything else to add to it or to put there. And then here I'm just started to decide which card base I was going to use. I had this really pretty blue, light blue, and I'm trying to play with the colors to see if it will look good. I'm trying to bring some of that blue green, like it's like a mint green from the birdie, but I didn't have one at hand, so I just went with a different one. So I ended up picking up this pink card base. That this card base is a little bit thinner because it's one that I bought that the card bases are already pre-made, and they're not as thick as my normal paper that I use. But anyway, just to pop everything here, I just got this strip of black cardstock and turn it into like a little banner. And by the way that you do that is just doing this little fishtail by cutting down the middle, and then from the corner up to that cut that you did. So just very simple. I do have some banner dies that I could have used, but I was trying to do it with what I had prepped already, that I just kind of left it like that. So I'm just using my Simon Says glue to glue everything onto my card base, and I am going to be using some foam tape to also pop the sentiment onto the card. And I am using the sentiment that came with that little card that I cut the birdies out of, and it says "Your tweet" or "You're so tweet," I think. So I popped it up onto the card base with just some foam tape. And here I'm doing the same thing like I told you, just putting some in the middle too, so that way everything's evenly and holds there. But yes, it says "Your tweet," and it's just so adorable. So then that's the second card. Now moving on to my third card. So I wanted to use this blue pattern paper, which I thought looked really pretty with the white and everything. And I cut out this little paper from the when the one that had the writing, to make it look like a piece of like a notebook paper. and I thought it was really, really pretty. I have a little punch that I use for that, to kind of make the little rivets of the notebook. And I'm just centering everything in there, and I just think this looks very adorable. It's clean and simple, so not a lot to do in there, but I think that heart gives it a very nice pop. Now for this card, I did decide to do a little bit extra on the inside, so I am just grabbing a piece of double-sided tape and putting it on the very bottom, and I am going to be using that same pattern paper that I used with the words to put a little strip on the bottom. So I just put two strips there, and I'm just I'm not cutting it ahead of time, just kind of eyeballing it. Sometimes I do that, but I'm just eyeballing it, and then once I even it out, I just go and trim it with my scissors, so that way it gives a little bit extra onto the inside of the card. And there you have it. So I wanted this cards to be very simple. I didn't want to be too much fuss or too much work to make for you to make these cards, so I wanted to leave it simple, and adding that little extra is good. Now here I am going to be using one of those die cuts that I made that says you, and I'm using my zig little pen to to put the glue onto it, because with my Simon sometimes it's a little bit thicker and it's a little hard to just kind of get it in there. But I was having a little bit of a hard time too with this one, because this die is so dainty, and it was very, very hard to do it. But anyway, so I put this little red U inside and tried to make it look like, in the outside it says love, and in the inside it will say you. But I actually end up changing this design, and you'll see it at the end. What I decided to do, but I just really love this die. But yes, like I said, that's my third card, and it's already done. And moving on to the next one. So I'm just trying to pick out from the card bases that I have here. I already had some to the side, like I said, just kind of ready for me to do. I also made some little twine bows, and different little things that I could add on to the card to just kind of sit down and create. Another one of my favorites, and I think this one turned out really, really cute, was using this piece of card with the llama, and this is "I'm yours." I thought it was so pretty. I just used one of my dies to cut it. Like, it looks kind of like distressed, and one of the card bases that I had, this really soft pink one, matched perfectly with it. So I just said yes, this was meant to be. But again, this one is another one of those little cards that you get, the 3x4s, that you can use for Valentine's or make little note cards with. But in this case, I decided to use it for the card, actual big card, and I'm just putting some foam tape to mount it onto the card base. I didn't make that big of a different things to do, but I layered it onto that polka dotted, like really soft pink polka dot pattern paper to kind of make it stand out. So it looks all very nice and pink. I'm normally not a pink person, or I don't really like a lot of pink, but I think this card looked turned out to be very adorable. My daughter will love it because she absolutely loves pink. This is like a softer pink, and I just thought that llama was so cute and adorable that I couldn't pass using it. So I'm just here going to center it, making sure that I am going to be gluing it onto the right side. I don't want to accidentally put it upside down, which I have done before. But anyway, I decided to add a little bit of pop to kind of bring the red of the flowers that she has on her hair, and I grabbed this die cut that says kiss and has a little heart, so I just put it down there. And I think it like the writing kind of looks like the writing that's on the top that says "I'm yours," so it just matched perfectly, like if it was meant to be. So there you have it. I just have it ready so I can put my sentiment inside. And moving on to the next card is again another one of those little cards, and for this one I actually use one of those decorative edge scissors that I have. I've had like tons of them for the longest time. I don't really use them, but I only selected a few to keep in my craft room so I can use them. The other ones I am going to be donating them, so I don't need to use them. But here I just popped this one onto a piece of red card base, and I had it cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm just trimming it here so that way it's not the full size of the card, and then that way I can have a little bit of an edge or different color onto the card base that I choose. And I chose the white one, which I think it looked really nice, bringing out the white, and then the middle one bringing out the red of the banner. That is the ribbon banner that's tying the flowers. Now I had glued this one. Since I used double-sided tape, I was able to peel it off a little bit, and I decided to add a little bit, add a pop of black, and using this twine, black and white twine, to put underneath it. Just wrap it around a few times and then tie it up, tie it into a bow, and I think that just gives it a little bit of a extra color, or a little bit extra onto your card. So I just did that, go back and glue it with actual wet glue, using my Simon Says glue, and it looks like you never really, like you had planned it before, like if I didn't have to go back and do it. Now I'm just going to be using my wet glue again here to do the glue everything onto the card base, and then just making sure that I'm putting good amount of glue so that way it won't go anywhere. So as usual, I just eyeballed when I am putting this onto my card bases. I just eyeball it to try to make sure that it's a little bit center. It's not always perfect, but I'm usually not too bad, but I think it looks really cute. And this is my which card are we on? Fifth, I think. I'm just adding a little dab of glue onto the little bow so that way it does not come undone. And we are ready to put sentiments inside. Now for this one, I am going to be using this stamp set that also comes with the die from Hero Arts. And this is one of my new ones, and I haven't used it, but I loved it with that little hello word, and it also comes with the die, and it has a lot of different cute little words and sentiments. But I chose here the one that says make me smile. So it looks like it says you make me smile. So on the outside it has a little heart that says love, but inside it says you make me smile. And I thought that looked very, very neat. I love it when you combine different types of writing. So you have the script with the die, and you can see here that this is where I changed my design. I had put the red die, the red U on the inside, but it was a different shade of red than the heart, so I decided to put the black one, and I put it over it, so it's just a little bit extra dimensional, and it looks like you didn't even have the red one there. But that's what I decided to do on that one. Now onto this other card, and actually I think it's on all of the cards. I decided to do this Happy Valentine's Day, to put it onto it, and this is just a stamp set that has Happy Valentine's Day. I had it written down. I forgot where what company this is from, but I got this one either at I think it was Joann's. It might have been Joann's, or could have been at scrapbook.com. And it's one of those little like extra stamps that you have, and it was very inexpensive, but I thought it was very, very cute. And actually it's another stamp that I had not used, so I was excited to give it some use. So here we are going to be adding another sentiment to this other card, and I decided to use the same one. Just center it in the middle, and I just had to flip my I just had to flip my stuff there. Sorry about that. I just got a pinch on my leg. But anyway, just put the Happy Valentine's there, and you can see I kind of messed up a little, just kind of smudged up, but I decided to just put a red cardstock, and it was actually a little red panel that has dotted in on the outside that I had cut, and I just put the Happy Valentine's on the top, so it looks like that you have enough space to write your sentiment and on the little red portion, or you can still go outside the line, but it kind of ties it in together even better with the red from the outside and the inside. I don't know, what do you guys think? That's an easy way, or a pretty easy way to kind of fix up some mistakes, and we all do them, but nobody will ever know that I made a mistake. I'm going to be using this other Hero Arts everyday sentiments stamp that says Happy Valentine's Day, but I didn't want it to be all together, so I cut the happy so that way I could put it at the top. And don't worry, nothing happens when you do that to stamps. You can always put them back together, and you're able to use them as intended. But this gives you a little bit more options on how to use them, or when you're placing them onto a card or onto a project, if you don't want to use the way that the stamp is actually intended. but I'll be able to do it no problem. So now I was ready to stamp it, and before I did that, I decided to stamp it onto a scrap piece of paper to make sure that it is gonna look good. And I am so glad I did that because I didn't want to ruin my card. So I ended up taking the happy off of it and then just stamping the word Valentine's Day, um, because with the little extra edging that you have on the stamp, and because they weren't meant to be stacked like that, they weren't fitting so well, and it looked like a big space or gap in the middle. And I always like to double stamp it so that way it looks nice and crisp. But then I can go back and line up that happy just perfectly with the enough spacing that it's not gonna look too off, and it just looks like it was meant to be like that the whole time. So I really like that one too. And then this is a different writing, and I kind of like that one too because the V kind of looks like it kind of goes together with the writing that was on the outside of the card. So I just tried to make it a little bit uniform. So here I am just trying to decide, which other sentiments I'm going to be using. So I decided to use the same one that says Happy Valentine's Day. And since I already had the word happy there, I just went backwards and stamped that first, and then go back and do the Valentine's Day after. So I did that. I thought that my sentiment was a little bit crooked, so I just kind of fixed it a little, and I was ready to just go ahead and stamp it. So as you can see, I only used two different sentiments onto all of these cards. They're all pretty easy cards that you can make in no time, with just maybe using some of your scraps as well. But here is a rundown. Let's just look at them all made. This really cute. Another thing I did was just add a little bit of embellishment by putting some sequins here and there onto each one of the cards. The little bow here, it gives it a little bit of touch. Another thing I did to these flowers, I used my little Jelly Roll glitter dust pen to add a little bit of glitter, and then the wink of Stella for that big rose. You can't really see it on the camera, sorry guys. And then this one is just so adorable with the little birdies, and the sloth one is just so cute. But here you have it, 5 cards that I made using the same paper pad. I'll leave some information linked below, but thank you so much for stopping by.